Oh, greetings, everybody.
Yeah. Well, what can we say? It's currently raining outside, as you can might be able to hear. It's storming a little bit, but shall we say? Well, tonight is another fan commentary. Yes. I guess kind of somewhat appropriate a little bit, considering the fact that one of the best and probably cutest final girls when it comes to a certain franchise, unfortunately, has passed. Of course, I'm talking about the um, probably one of the greatest actresses in this entire franchise, Lar Park Lincoln. She will always, she'll be forever missed, especially with the movie that we have selected to pick tonight. We are going to be doing a commentary for Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Yeah. Now, of course, Lar, she played, of course, the character of Tina in the movie, and, of course, Kane Hodder, of course, took over the role of Jason for the first time ever. And I will be watching this specific edition of this film. Now, if you have the original DVD, the movie is exactly the same. There's no difference, minus all the extras and whatnot. But for those of you who do actually have this on not just DVD, but on 4K, Blu-ray, whatever medium you have, please sit back and enjoy. Probably one of the best movies throughout the entire franchise, and there'll be lots of stuff to cover. And so with that, so let's go have some fun. And remember, of course, Lar's really great performance as Tina.
All right, greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Media Files Fan Commentary Podcast. I'm, of course, your host, AJO400. So this evening, we are going to be discussing Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Starting, of course, the late, great Lar Park Lincoln as Tina Shepard, and, of course, introducing Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees. Yes. So if any of you guys out there have your DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming app ready, let's go ahead and get the play button here. Make sure everything is set to 0. And here we go. In 3, 2, 1, hit play. All right, so we're starting off here with a very interesting, very dark music compared to what the other films were. Very heavy, very bassy, and so now we've got the Paramount Pictures logo, which is basically roughly about the same font that's been used throughout all 7 films at this time. Of course, directed by John Carl Buechler of special effects fame. And so we've got this really interesting cemetery sequence where basically it's kind of like a flashback, basically showing all of the different kills throughout the film. But if you notice the narrator, that actually is the actor who played Crazy Ralph in the first 2 films. And I think sadly this would be one of his last times we would ever see him, I think. I think he fairly passed away, I think not too long after doing this dialogue. But I love the fact that they're using an awful lot of footage from pretty much all the films throughout the entire franchise, and of course, got the great ending there for the 4th film. Lightning, of course, using from the 6th film, but it's basically this is for basically anybody who hadn't seen these films up to this point. Gotta basically explain, hey, this guy is out there. Here we go again. Number 7. So what do we do? Well, we're gonna change it up a little bit. Basically saying, well, we gotta do something a little bit different than our generic kills, but we still want to keep it in the forest. But uh, you know, what can I say though? It's so great though. I mean, they're cheesy, but they're so much fun though to watch. Of course, you gotta love Tom Matthews there. Of course, as Tommy Jarvis in the sixth film. We'll definitely do a commentary on that one at some point. But this one here, I don't know why. It just seems like to me that with this particular, film of the franchise, seven, you're like, how can they keep this going for seven movies? And, well, you're looking at it. The sixth film here basically made quite a bit of money. Of course, it had was directed by Tom McLaughlin, titled Jason Lives. And, of course, C.J. Graham, who portrays Jason in the footage you are seeing right now, he actually did a pretty decent job as the character. And, of course, that one, I think number six, I think out of all of them, is actually my personal favorite because it has more of a Frankenstein style of story behind it. But, but you gotta love the fact that they literally stop pretty much ending. The sixth film is starting up pretty much right with the new one here. So we get this really cool shot here with the mask and awesome optical effect lighting. And that crack in the mask, as you just saw, that is a foreshadow, as they had mentioned in the commentaries. That's a giant foreshadow for what is to come. So here we have Lar Park Lincoln in the head lead role there, of course, with Kevin Blair, who's playing the lead villain. Or I'm sorry, the not the villain. That's Kane Hodder. He's like the love interest. But if you notice here, the theme for the opening credits here is very, very different from what was before. And if you notice, it doesn't sound like what Harry Manfredini would normally compose. Of course, there was actually two composers on this film. Harry Manfredini, of course, he's known for doing most of the films, but also Fred Mullen came in to help out, and I think Fred ended up doing about half the score for this film. And because I think Harry was busy probably doing, I want to say it's probably Deep Star 6 at this point. In that, or it could have been Iron Eagle 3 around this time because he was pretty busy and whatnot. But so if you notice here, we got three editors on this movie, and you will notice a lot of the kills in this film, as it has been told throughout the years, that this movie was heavily butchered by the MPAA. Yeah, they didn't like all these nasty, gory-fied kills and stuff. But all right. On backward to Camp Blood, or Camp Crystal Lake as it's known. I love this really awesome transitional shot to Jason underneath the water here. And if you notice, he is wearing basically the same outfit from 6, which is kind of interesting. And of course, there's still the same stone or the rock as before. But if you notice right there, though, there's that little calendar. It says Friday, October the 13th. So here we have young Tina, and of course she hears her parents arguing, and of course one thing we don't know about this little girl is that she's got some very interesting things going on with her. Well, basically you'll be seeing it here in just a minute, but not very good to be going around in the woods out in the dark, especially out there in a boat and whatnot. But I mean, what can I say? I mean, these are great shots and whatnot. Especially, I love the cinematography in this movie. It gets pretty good as it's in certain shots and whatnot. So there's your dad, and of course Tina's mom. Of course, but one thing we never really, one thing that's really explained about this is that Tina's dad's basically kind of a bit of a drunk. But you notice the stare she's giving right now, it's got some interesting horror movie vibes. That one should be pretty familiar. Yep. We basically have gone full blown. We've added, Carrie into the Friday the 13th franchise, basically. Yeah, they kind of wanted to do like a Carrie versus Jason type of movie, since Carrie was very popular when that movie came out. Of course, this came out, I want to say, Carrie came out about almost a whole 10 years before this movie even came out. and I mean, but you gotta love some of the hydraulical effects are, they're kind of cheesy and whatnot, but you know, even so. So there's Lar. She's now basically a teenage version of Tina there. Of course, her mom's basically the same mom as before. I cannot remember what that actress's name is. Um, but I mean, you can definitely tell that hairstyle is definitely 80s, definitely the 80s hairstyle. And what's great about these is that you know, I mean, sure these movies are made in the majority of them are all made in the 80s, but it's such a great timestamp. Uh, like a time capsule basically, and just to show, well, here's kind of how things were back then, almost 40 years ago, which is so they've arrived at Camp Crystal Lake, and basically saying that, well, hey, if you want to learn basically how to deal with this, you got to learn how to, basically get, kind of control your telekinetic powers. Basically, is what they're trying to say for her and whatnot. But yeah, so I mean, what can I say? It's you know, pretty cheesy, but but you gotta love how how the lighting just kind of hits Tina there. Such great lighting. So that's her doctor. He's kind of somewhat acts like he wants to kind of date her mom a little bit and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think this is on a set, obviously. But I don't know. It just seems like that staircase looks oddly familiar. Halloween 4, anybody? Maybe. As far as a similar design, maybe. But of course, this her psychiatrist is basically saying, well, the best way to really, help out, to help you with your powers and whatnot, you know, come back. But yeah, so you got the teenage girls there who are all, very Miss Prisley and like and whatnot. But uh, yeah, I mean, what can I say though? It's such a pretty decent movie for for what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's such a very interesting film of the franchise. But of course, those shorts, man, those '80s shorts. That's definitely you know definitely at the times. Running shorts or any type of shorts were pretty short on anybody back then. But I mean, what can I say? It's kind of one of those movies where it just takes a while for things to get through and whatnot. I mean, man, look at that camera. It's an old VCR camera. You don't see those anymore. It's just kind of interesting of how far technology has come since then and whatnot. But yeah, gotta love the fact that he's looking at it through the camera and stuff, whatnot. But he's saying that he wants to keep track of all of her progress, of how much progress they've made, of her, basically saying, well, you basically killed your own dad, even though it was by accident. You didn't mean to, but you had no idea what telekinesis was, and so there we go. Basically, he's wanting this. I mean, he comes off as in basically saying, well, do this for me, but there's just something about it where you're just like, yeah, you're definitely gonna be one of the guys that's gonna die, especially if you are a fan of this franchise, and even if you've seen it a million times, there's just little things that you just never really pick up on unless you actually sit down and really eyeball this thing. Um, and you gotta love the fact that he's pressuring her to move these objects with her mind, uh, but it seems like it. But basically, she's saying that when it comes to her telekinesis, that her power is basically it works. It either does or it doesn't, but it's because her emotions basically trigger this. He's telling her to concentrate at it, but you know, basically it's her just kind of her just kind of getting yelled at basically. But that's kind of how it kind of goes into effect a little bit. But I mean, it's what can I say? It's cheesy, cheesy fun, but you gotta love the fact that she's telling him, "Hey, I'm thinking about you," but you know, he's like, "Oh, really?" But she's really thinking, "Yeah, I hate you so damn much," and you know, so it, yeah, I mean that's basically. I mean, this is just it's what like I said. This movie, it's as great as it is. You know, it's you know, it just takes quite a while for this movie to really get into gear, and for all the yeah, there you go. You got some lovey-dovey scenes in this movie, like you do with pretty much just about all of them. And yeah, definitely not one for the kids. Definitely get the kids out of here if you're watching that scene. But uh, you know, I think they're in the van. Oh yeah, that's that's also a good part about this about these movies. They're cheesy and they're terrible, but yeah. So yeah. So Tina's basically looking at basically a picture of what her dad was doing before they ever left that cabin. Basically, I think that's his. I think that's actually his office. I think, or something like that, or his. Uh, yeah, because you could definitely tell like everything that was when they left. Everything was still there, but you could definitely tell how dusty the desk was, and uh, so basically now we're back to the pier there, which is basically now she's suddenly remembering everything from childhood basically, and so now she's remembering basically everything that happened, and of course her dad of course is basically drunk, and he basically that's why he and his wife they fight all the time. Of course, Tina doesn't want anything to do with it, and of course, she blames herself for killing her dad, but obviously it was an accident, and she had no idea what these powers even were. Um, yeah, well, you're definitely gonna bring something back. It's definitely something. Okay, so now if you notice, time has moved on, especially with that shot there of Jason. If you noticed, a lot of the gloves are gone. A lot of his suit has been eaten away. His flesh has been eaten away. Got the ribs showing, especially the back here. And well, she doesn't know it yet, but Tina's bringing back somebody, and there's somebody's awake. Oh yeah, and of course we got the famous Jason sound and whatnot. Of course, that originated, of course, from basically from Harry Manfredini, of course, from the first film. And I don't know how many more times you need to show the water shooting up in the air like that. Um, but yeah, there you go. Now she's realizes, hey, is that him? Nope, that's not him. I'm gonna pass out. But oh man, look at that shot. You can see the back of the vertebrae and everything like that. So, and of course, now we have Kane Hodder officially woken up, walking around as Jason Voorhees. Yeah, so obviously you can tell that the mask is obviously a little bit different from the last film. Obviously, because that's where in part six, that's where the uh, fan actually cut part of his mask, even though it's never shown in that movie. That's basically what the side of the mask is that kind of shows his part of his teeth and whatnot, which is very very creepy. But also the makeup. Basically, the whole point of the way Jason looks, as I'm sure a lot of you probably know this already by now, but for those of you who don't, basically he's it's just basically almost pretty much every damage that he's taken throughout the other six movies. That's basically the idea and the point of showing the amount of damage that Jason has basically received over the years. Um, but yeah, I mean, because they didn't know if they were actually going to do a seventh film, but since, like I said, since the sixth film basically made a lot of money, well, hey, let's do a seventh one. And of course, this one was definitely, definitely trimmed down quite a bit by the MPAA and or MPA as it's now called in this day and age. Um, but yeah, so you get the couple there whose car is basically disabled and whatnot, and everything, and it's your average, just your average fighting couple, cars destroyed and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, man, get a load of that fridge. Definitely, times have old. Definitely, times have changed. Um, I don't know. I think that says cold spot. I think. So here we're getting the better uh, intro to Nick, and you can tell by Lars' appearance there. She's like, "Hey, he's not so bad. He's actually a cute-looking guy." And so, yeah. And of course, she's like, "Nah." So, yeah, there we go. Nice little date there. And oh, there we go. Going to visit the kids next door. Yeah. Well, you kind of tell, Lauren likes him, a little bit, to the character of Tina, basically. She's like, hey, he's kind of hot a little bit. And of course, Nick's basically kind of the same way with her. But, so, yeah, back to the bickering couple. And of course, where else do they go? Crystal Lake. Yep. Man, and of course, they continue the shots there, of course, with Jason, being the handheld footage, which is what they did basically since, well, the first film, basically, since everything was kind of handheld for that movie, and they've kind of basically have kept that as like as like a continuational shot whenever you see, like the closer shots of Jason or like the first person view shots. Now, I don't think there was a whole lot of that in the sixth movie, but it was definitely quite a bit in those first four films throughout the franchise. And but yeah, I mean, what can I say? The guy got to take a leak out in the woods. It's dark out. You're dead. And oh yeah, I mean, you gotta love the good old cheesy, cliches of a horror film. And shaky cam footage. Who do you think's right behind her? Who do you think? It's gonna be a guy or it's gonna be Jason? Who's it gonna be? Uh, nope. Oh yeah, and boom. Yep, poker right to the side of the head. But of course, you don't ever see anything because why? Well, it was trimmed down. And of course, guy sees girl dead. Jade. And yep, you're dead. That guy's dead. Oh yeah. And there we go. And of course, gotta love it. Of course, you have Harry's score there from other, parts of the film. Not just this film, but of course, a lot of the stuff was, a lot of his music was recycled. But you gotta love the fact that here's Kane Hodder now, who's basically playing Jason. Of course, he's a lot bigger than some of the other guys. Of course, he was a stuntman and still does stunts to this day. But of course, not only just by playing Jason, though. Oh, throw right to the back. Yeah. He's not dead. Take him out. There we go. And, he's dead. Anyways, but back to Kane, though. But not only did he portray was the first time that he portrayed Jason, but it would be the first out of 4 times that Kane would of course portray the character, but he would also go on to portray the character of Jason in the Friday the 13th video game, which would be released on the PlayStation 4. Then of course he would also go on to portray another great villainous type of character, kind of similar to Jason, but of course a lot different. He would go on to portray Victor Crowley in the Hatchet series, which is another great series of horror films, and maybe we'll take a look at those someday. So yeah, so it's time for Jason to kind of start doing some hunting a little bit, and some seek and destroy, basically. So, of course, I think that actress there with the glass, I think that's Debbie Kozak, I think is her name is. I cannot remember what her name is at the moment. But of course, she gets one of the greatest lines in the entire series, and whatnot. Of course, the guy there with the alcohol and the beer and whatnot. I don't know. To me, he kind of looks like he's portraying a similar Crispin Glover type of character, especially for the fourth film, since Crispin was in the fourth movie. So Tina's getting introduced into a lot of the other characters and whatnot. Um, but yeah. So you get this. I think that's Amanda. I think her character's no Melissa. I'm sorry. Melissa, she's basically that real snitchy, real bitchy type of character. And of course, that you need that character for these type of movies and whatnot. And so yeah, of course, she definitely, yeah, she's that one character who you're just rooting for to basically get taken out by Jason. But of course, by the time this movie came out and whatnot, basically, by the time, like I said, by the time this movie came out, everybody was, wasn't waiting for, the guys or the girls to do this or do that. They were just waiting for Jason to take people out. So, um, yeah, but yeah, as you just saw in that previous scene, Tina's starting to have visions of what could possibly be coming, and so so Tina's basically explaining that she saw the man from the lake. Of course, she's talking about Jason, and basically she's starting to see visions of the future. Basically some more foreshadowing. Um, and of course, Doctor Cruz here is basically saying, "Hey, you're basically creating." Uh, basically, he's basically saying that you're having delusions, and you're making things up. Basically, you're remembering your father, and she's like, "No, not my father. This is some other guy." And of course, typical doctor doesn't believe her and whatnot. But this guy is basically, he's gonna get it. And of course, right there, the large spike was there, so we know somebody's still out there lurking in the darkness. Oh yeah. So, I mean, she's trying to figure out, what is going on with her. She's asking for help, but he's basically saying, "Hey, I'm helping you, but you've got to help me." You have to explain why you're having these things, and basically, it's something that she can't really explain. Basically, she just can't. It just happens it just happens. But oh yeah, the sleeping tent, and if you see this movie, you know what happens in there, and that is kind of funny. There's no wood in the forest. Yeah. Um, we need wood. We need wood. Of course, he's thinking, "I got your wood." And so there we got the character Dan walking out to get some wood. Of course, he's got the machete there, which Jason doesn't really use that much in this movie. But what's kind of interesting though is that there's some very interesting things that are in this movie that sadly really get cut down big time. Um, which is really really sad, unfortunately. But like I said, a lot of these are just you're just anticipating, waiting for the kill, long take of guys standing around and whatnot, and you're just the way certain things are shot. You're always expecting, you're expecting somebody to show up behind him, and of course, there the wide shot, there he is, slowly making his way you know, towards the character and whatnot, and you're like, yeah, that guy's gonna die. Typical guys. You can always tell after watching these scenes, watching these movies for so many times, and Boom! Yeah, right in the back. And whatnot. But yeah, I totally forgot about that shot. It's been a very long time since I've seen this movie. Um, but I mean, sadly, we're really only about we're already a third of the way into the movie, and this thing is not that long at all. It's like literally an hour and a half. Okay, I'll come and get you. Oh man, that's funny. And you know who? That's funny. Big hunk of man, come and get me. Oh, somebody's definitely coming for you. And of course, this one has one of the most famous kills in the entire franchise. And yeah, zip her up and take her in the sleeping bag. Yeah, definitely one of the uh, best kills in the movie. Sadly, this scene also really got cut down too. There was actually like little razor blades inside the tree there. Of course, it gets knocked down to just one hit, but if you could tell by the way Kane's breathing there, he actually hit the sleeping bag several times because it was pretty heavy for him to do it. But yeah, sadly, it was knocked down to just one hit and kill your girl. But hey, one of the greatest kills of the entire franchise. Of course, he would actually be able to do that a little bit better, and of course, Jason X, and with a similar type of kill. But we'll get to that one also at a later point. Yeah, we'll end up doing this entire franchise at some point. Um, but I mean, what can I say? You gotta have some more exposition, basically, of more characters that basically you're like, yeah, we didn't really. These are just characters that you just don't really care for, and that you're gonna, basically they're all gonna get taken out by somebody at a certain point. So, so basically, you got Tina and Nick here, basically just kind of hanging out, um, basically saying, like, hey, we're trying to get to know each other and whatnot. And, I kind of like you, you kind of like me, but it's kind of interesting that Nick basically he grew up around the town of Pittsburgh, and basically he went to night school. Um, but apparently, but Tina actually came up here at this lake all the time until she uh, basically admits to him that that she basically accidentally killed her dad here, but she doesn't like it. But of course, that shot there it gives you a little bit of a trick there, basically saying that well, is it Jason? No, Jason's around, but he never really shows up in daylight. He's always more of a nighttime person. But I don't know. It would be interesting to see Jason actually do something, you know, in daylight. Now he does kind of somewhat do it in. Maybe it's actually part three, but you don't really get a whole lot of stuff of him doing stuff during the day. Obviously, of course, nighttime. Nobody's around and whatnot. But of course, there's Melissa sneaking up on him and trying to, sneak and listen to what's going on with Tina there, especially because Melissa doesn't really like Tina because she's real snitchy and she's just that type of character, as always. Um, but you know, I mean, so what can I say? But you gotta love, it's gotta love the interaction here between these two actors and whatnot. And like I said, it's just really, really sad though that we'll never get to see, Laura return to the character of Tina. It's really sad. We never will. Um, and hey, looky there, her first kiss. Look at that. She kind of liked it. Can I tell? But of course, Melissa, being the real snitch that she is, oh yeah, she got a little smooch. Yeah, you could definitely tell. She definitely her kicking into gear a little bit. She's like, I like this guy, and so of course you get Dr. Cruz in there. He ruins everything as always. So obviously time has passed a little bit, and you can kind of tell with some of these shots. Either you're thinking, well, either that's Jason or that's somebody else. But of course, we got the character of Maddie there with the glasses. She gets one of the greatest lines of the entire movie. But man, look at those. Look at that Mountain Dew can. That's a product placement right there. I definitely don't see that style of can anymore. Um, but yeah, I mean, what can I say? I mean, here we are. We're almost halfway through this movie. I mean, well, not really, but we're kind of getting closer and closer to the halfway point. Um, but I will say that that the cabin that they are in definitely has a big, nice fight scene coming up. It's very interesting things that we've never actually seen in the entire Friday the 13th franchise until this movie, and I will point that out when it happens. Um, but you gotta love that line. You need a little touch-up work first, and of course, we get the one of the great lines later on in the movie. Need a little touch-up work, my ass, and of course, that's one of the greatest lines in the entire franchise, coming from one of the female characters and whatnot. But you know, what can we say? I mean, we've got basically everybody's coming here to have a good time, and yeah, basically that's kind of what basically camping is, except it's Friday the 13th, and these cabins really aren't that luxurious, basically. Um, but you know what those two are going to do later, you know. But of course, there's Melissa, basically, just messing with her, and of course, with her emotions, it basically triggers her uh, kinetic abilities, and she can't really control it and whatnot. But of course, every time she uses them, she can't really explain it to anybody. She doesn't really know exactly how to explain it to people who haven't used this type of thing before. And of course, Nick's all about like saying, hey, basically he doesn't want her to go, but unfortunately that's kind of how her character is, because basically Dr. Cruz is basically telling her, hey, you know, you're pretty emotional about everything that's going on here, and Tina is basically saying, hey, I don't want to be here. I hate this place. Why am I even here? And of course, Cruz is saying that, hey, we believe you, but your psychokineticist needs to basically, you need to tell me what's going on. Of course, you can kind of tell that Cruz is basically there just to you know, just saying that, we're making progress, but you're not allowing me to continue with my progress, and basically now this is triggering basically her her parents were going through basically when she was a kid, and that's pretty cool that she threw the TV at him, basically saying, "Hey, it's almost like a foreshadow a little bit of other things that will be coming later on here in the film." I love that Melissa was a bitch. Well, of course she is, Nick. I mean, you should be able to tell right there just the way she's acting around her. But it's kind of funny, because if you notice that with the character's name that she had mentioned, his next cousin Michael, of course, he was one of the guys that he's one of the characters that got killed off pretty early in the movie. So, and yeah, so he's basically gone at this point. So, yep, definitely some things that happened. Oh man, such a great movie though. I mean, it really is. I mean, you gotta love a lot of the art, the cinematography in this movie. Of course, but it's kind of funny. I think that I'm not sure exactly where this was shot, but of course, we got we got the couple out here, and we all know that we got to have some crazy, some nice little naughty chattering going on here. Of course, we got to have the whole skinny dipping sequence, right? Sure, I want to go for a swim. Who doesn't? So, yeah, close your eyes, kids. Get the kids out of the room. Oh man, such a great shot. But of course, you know, you got the. I mean, you don't see that very often, hardly at all. I mean, it's like the sweater with the guy type of thing, and yet, but yeah, the funny thing is, he's trying to trying to undo the thing, but oh yeah, you're dead, dude, totally dead. He has no idea. Yep, now he notices, and of course, what happens? Well, death ensues. Bye bye, with the axe to the face. Yeah, batter up, anybody? Oh yeah, and you're dead too. Nice. It's kind of funny though. You never really saw Jason in the kind of go into the water basically, but because usually though Jason's doesn't usually the character Jason really doesn't like water basically, and I love the some of the Jaws reference shots there. Uh, nope, you're dead. We and she dead. Oh man, you gotta love that. The guys, you definitely tell the guys definitely had quite a few when he's talking about being King Tut rises from the tomb. Oh man, so cheesy stuff, so cheesy. Definitely 80s and whatnot. But of course, the guy's like, "So, what do you want to do? Hit me? Sure." Oh man, look at that you don't landlines. You don't see those anymore. That's pretty. I mean, I'm sure some people probably still have landlines, but yeah, you definitely just don't have, uh, you know, that stuff anymore, especially this day and age. Um, what, you know, one of the greatest lines coming up. You little touch up work my ass. Should get doing herself a makeover. Oh man, such a great little sequence. And of course, you don't see anything, but just dead drag body. Oh man, but yeah, but Kane, his performance so far is actually it's not that bad, but it's towards the end of the film here in a little bit is when he really starts to shine through that through the makeup and the mask and all that stuff, and you gotta love it. Nick's basically saying, "Hey, I don't even like you at all." He's like, "Yeah, well," and you gotta love how he's basically made himself, basically ever since Tina has arrived, basically back to Crystal Lake. He's had a liking to Tina, which I get, and which is now this window you're looking at here. This is definitely a foreshadowing window, foreshadowing sequence because there's a really great sequence that will happen later on. Um, especially with that window. Um, so, of course, you get Dr. Cruz there. Uh, I think yeah. So there's the spike, which basically I want to say it because if you kind of look at his reaction there to that spike, it's like, well, either it was planted there or he has no idea how it actually got there. So he is also somewhat just a little bit confused, but of course, you got Melissa here being her typical, you know, self, but whatnot. But so yeah, what can I say? This is it's just yeah, there's just certain scenes in this movie where it does drag just a little bit, even though the movie's only roughly about 90 minutes. But it's your average horror film. You got to have your scenes in here with whatnot, and with other uh, you know your kind of long scenes, basically of discovering some of the characters you know choices when it comes to the character and whatnot. But it's kind of interesting of how uh, she's actually seeing some of the uh, uh, stuff that he's actually written about Tina, and it's kind of come to as a surprise to her. And so here we have Dr. Cruz is now walking out in the dark in the forest, and you know what's going to happen to him. Everybody's waiting for this. Oh, yeah. Now he's discovered that something isn't right, and that's that same poker stick there that he saw earlier. And so he's realizing that Tina is actually right about something. Something's going on. But of course, you can tell the music here is obviously a lot darker than what Harry Manfredini would have done. So I think Fred had actually, you kind of tell this is some of Fred's composing. Very heavy on the synthesizer. Very, very heavy. A lot of the same key and whatnot. But so she's thinking that Dr. Cruz had planted this there because earlier they were looking at that same, that same spike from earlier and whatnot. But man, look at that. That's an old VCR that she's got on top of that. That's the old pop-up VCR. Those aren't around anymore. And whatnot. So, so basically, she's learning basically learning how what Dr. Cruz is basically doing, and basically she has now figured out that he never really intended to help Tina, but he's of course saying that, well, that she's been finding this and that, and of course, uh, now basically she's saying that, well, why is this spike in your drawer? Did you actually plant that in there, or did you actually take it out? And of course, now he's basically realized that, well, maybe she's right. I actually am helping her, even though you're not really believing me and whatnot. But, you know, you gotta love how he's basically trying to get her to do her whole thing, basically saying, like, well, her treatment basically isn't going well, or it is. That's just my opinion. But of course, she doesn't believe him at all. Basically, he basically brought her back so that she could perform, do her basically her psychokinetic powers, basically. And of course, he wants her to go back to the hospital and be put under drug therapy. But of course, Tina is overhearing this, as you could obviously see, and and it's like I said, it's just kind of interesting of how they threw a lot of the same type of telekinetic powers, of course, that Carrie would show in the De Palma '76 film. Which that movie's great too. If you watch, Carrie, and then you watch this, you can definitely tell where a big inspiration of this movie came from. Of course, now she realizes that Tina is basically leaving, and she overheard them arguing. So now now they have to go after her, and yeah, it's just kind of interesting that I don't even know she really kind of surprised that she knows how to drive. So there's the car that we saw earlier that was broken down, basically, with and of course now she's seeing visions of her mom basically being killed by Jason. Ends up wrecking the car, but I don't know. There's just that shot there. It just looks very, very weird. Of course, the way Jason's kind of standing there and whatnot, I figured that he would have had a bigger stance and whatnot. But yeah, that thing's not going anywhere, and you're wedged up against a tree. So yeah, So what can I say? I mean, like I said, overall, this one's really not that bad. It really isn't. I mean, it's of course, like I said, this one is a little more. It's a little slower than some of the others, but of course, now the scene. Now she realizes, oh, I need to get back, and of course, here's Maddie. She gets like one of the best. I love that line. Need a little touch up work, my ass. One of the greatest lines that she'll ever say. Yeah, well, that any of the characters will ever say. But yeah. Now, the funny thing is, there's actually on this DVD that there's actually a featurette where they actually use that line, and I think it's Lar or somebody from the film. They both go to like a touch up featurette. They talk about that scene of the movie and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's of course what's coming. You know she's going to be a character that's going to be taken out because obviously you can tell by the camera work. But yeah, I mean, Well, what's kind of interesting about going back to the character of Tina is that uh, the character herself, obviously, like I said, she's obviously heavily influenced by Carrie, but I love the way that Lar plays her. But looking at the character of Maddie here, um, she's figuring out where's this guy. Did all this, makeup for nothing, and now she's apparently lost an earring. Apparently, good luck finding that, especially out in the woods. Oh, she found it. Nope, she found something else. Oh no, she doesn't have her glasses on. So she basically can't really see without her glasses. Basically, oh, she found it. Well, there we go. And she found something else. Maybe. Yep. Yeah. Listen to that scream. You gotta love that somewhat shot there of Jason where it's almost like he has like a somewhat slightly peek out, but also it's more of like a what was that type of thing. Like, huh? Oh, somebody else to take out. um, but yeah, so here we are at the demise of the character of Maddie. And I mean, it you don't make any sound when he's in there. You just don't. You don't move. But that's not going to work. He'll find her as he usually does. But yeah, and there he is. He knows you're there. What can I say? It's such a great, great, great movie. Yep, he sees something and gets a little closer. Nope, I'm away. We'll walk away and whatnot. But you gotta love that fake out shot there. You think that he's gonna, get a little closer to the wall there, and he actually does leave, which is kind of interesting. But she's one of those characters that are gone anyway. Definitely one of the two. I don't know if she really deserved it or not because she's kind of more of like an innocent character. But yep, there is. Had to find himself a toy. Just waiting, praying up for the kill there. Such a great, great movie overall. But, yeah. Boom and boom. Definitely cut. Excuse me. Definitely cut down once again by the MPAA. Yeah, they really didn't like having all the kills in this movie because they thought it was too graphic. But of course, compared to stuff that it's out there now, uh, this is pretty tame. Excuse me, definitely pretty tame considering a lot of movies nowadays, like for example, like the Terrifier series. Those are much more graphic than these. And there's no way they'd be able to get those movies in theaters nowadays. Um, uh, but yeah, I mean, it's just kind of interesting seeing that. Uh, how. Oh yeah, there we go. Another make out scene, and yeah, there's another one. And of course, Jason knows what's going on. It's pretty much night out, and you know what they're gonna do. So we got the van there. You don't see that type of van anymore. I think that's probably from the I would say maybe 86. Yep, another raunchy scene. Get the kids to bed. But although that's just kind of interesting there of that camera work because you never really see Jason. He never really ducks. Not really. He never really does, which is kind of interesting. Oh man, what can I say? Um, that's awesome. And nope, Definitely not him. Definitely not him. So, I mean, the sad thing is, here it is. We're already pretty much about an hour into the movie, and we're pretty much 2/3 of the way done here. Like I said, this movie it moves along at a fairly quick pace. Like I said, it does slow down quite a bit, but at certain points. But of course, they're all here basically to celebrate Nick's cousin's birthday. But it's kind of interesting seeing that. Jeez, he's gonna get it. So is she. Oh yeah, they're next. You can always tell whenever that. Yep, and there we go. This scene definitely was definitely heavily edited down. Where basically he just grabs a hold of his head and just basically squeezes it into a melon. And of course the uncut footage really shows a lot of stuff coming out of there. A lot of stuff. It's so sad though that not a lot of that footage really exists anymore. Obviously, because it was all destroyed. Basically, they tried to destroy the MPAA tried to destroy as much footage as possible. But thankfully, though, a lot of the surviving what elements are around. They are basically, boom, got a horn to the eye, honk. Such a just a great scene. So, man, what a pain, what a bitch Melissa is. Oh man, oh man, I tell you what, I know whenever people see this movie and whenever I talk to people about it, they always can't wait for the character Melissa to get axed. It's one of their favorite kills that happens. And kind of one of my favorite. And some of the dialogue in this is just awful. Very, very awful. Oh boy. So yeah, somebody got a little something, but they'll be next, as always. So, oh yeah, like I said, basically it's just a lot of exposition and whatnot, and of course, some of these shots here that you're seeing, of Jason, some of those are also kind of throwback shots to some of the first, you know, a couple of the earlier films, like the lower, um, you know, angled feet shots, basically. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's yep, somebody's in the house. Yep, see, yep, yep, he gone. Okay, so now they've realized that something is definitely going on, and that Tina actually was right. So yeah, I mean, you gotta love her Lars acting here, which is pretty interesting. It's like she knew it. It's like she knew how to she was having visions of the future. So, oh, somebody's just gonna walk right into the house, right inside, and who's going next. The two lovebirds in the bed. Yep, those two are next. Such 80s talk. Such 80s. Oh, man. So cheesy. Such great dialogue, though. I mean, you know. Yeah. Nice set. Yeah, it's like I said, there's some nice little shots in this movie. But yeah, I mean, what can I say though? It's still one of my this movie's one of my favorites out of the franchise, but mainly it's towards the end of the film is where I kind of enjoy this movie the most. Um, but I don't know why, but six really seems to be my favorite out of the entire franchise. I don't know why. So Back to Jason here. So here we are. That's something that we've never seen before. There in the corner, if you caught it, Jason being revealed by lightning, and that's nothing that we've ever really seen in any of the movies. That's the first time that ever happened, and it's kind of like one of those typical horror, villain reveal moments and whatnot. But it's kind of funny that the fridge light is still somehow. Oh no, that's the flashlight. Never mind. So there's Jason, of course, with nice little, kitchen knife there. Boom, and dead. Huh. I wonder if somebody watched somebody else. If you get what I mean. So, what other horror villain uses the same type of knife? Michael, anybody? Oh man. So yeah, so now we're getting kind of more towards the end of the film here, but now she's realizing that Dr. Cruz actually knew something was going on. But what Tina doesn't realize though is that there's actually two of them and whatnot, and I love that her acting there is like, oh, I see a gun, ew, take it. Now Tina's starting to realize that there's something else going on where they're uh, where they're at. Now that she's actually realizing about the legend of Jason Voorhees, basically after reading all the newspaper ads, and so now she realizes that that's who the guy was in the lake and whatnot. So now her telekinetic powers are acting up because she's realizing that's who it is and whatnot. But so now Nick's realizing, hey, what's all this going on? Oh, that's her doing that. But yeah, like Dr. Cruz has basically been saying, she has these telekinetic powers, and it causes her to go go crazy, and yet she doesn't know how to control them. That's such a great line. Oh man, obviously it's not good for YouTube usage, but yeah, but for those of you at home, it's just a funny line, and you pretty much know who's probably going to be next and whatnot. Um, this guy, um, but I mean, like I said, most of these movies are all pretty much about the same. That's funny. Ah, that's funny. Such a great gag. And so there's Jason, but it's kind of interesting of how we got Harry's music playing this one. So it's like if you notice the music throughout the whole thing, it goes from Harry to Fred, Harry to Fred. It goes back and forth, back and forth, and so uh, but yeah. So now she's realizing that her mom's out there in the woods, so they gotta go find her. Same thing with Dr. Cruz, but somebody's going down. Somebody's going down. The guy with the magnifying glass with the special toy enlarger. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Boom. Another simply cut footage, basically. So, there you go. Um, so, yeah. He's taken out. Now it's time to get the other person that's still in there. Oh, yeah. There you go. What can I say? Like I said, this movie, it's sometimes it's kind of hard to comment while you're watching, pretty great cheese horror, sequence because you know what's going to happen and whatnot. But oh, nice fake out. Yeah, that's one thing about this movie is that they tend to do a lot of fake out shots in this film and whatnot because you're expecting Jason to open up the door or whatever with her in there, but nope. And they end up having her come out instead And but like I said, they do lots of. It's just, and John's directing here is just it's kind of interesting, but I think where it really shines though is towards the end of the film during the ending fight sequence, um, which we'll get to here pretty soon. Actually, we're about let's see here. We've got roughly about give or take roughly about 26 minutes left in the film. It also includes credits. So you know how it is. You know, it's the house is dark. Everything's supposedly creepy and whatnot, but so you can definitely tell that's. I think that's actually Maddie's room. I think is where it is, but yeah, somebody else is either hiding in there or and whatnot. But yeah, somebody's going to get thrown out that window. Of course, one of the there's another character actually. I think it's in the it's actually the fourth film that actually got thrown out of a window. I don't think I think it's actually might be David's room actually because I always thought it was Maddie, but apparently it's not. Oh nope, somebody else. Nope, no, but I am. Oh man! Now, of course, it would have been great though if they, after watching this movie so many times, that if you would just cut to where somebody would just bust out the door or whatever, and you got to get your very slow shot there of a cat, a supposed cat, and yet the funny thing is that I don't think that cat was ever shown in any of the movie. It just randomly appears. At least as far as I know. I mean, the cat could have been there earlier, but I just don't recognize it. No, but I think somebody else will take care of that. But such a cute little kitty. Um, but yeah, like I said, I think the cat literally just kind of appears. I think the cat just appears out of nowhere. I don't really remember the cat actually ever showing up in the movie, at least in the beginning of it. But oh, we found something and we don't like it, and oh, it's a head. Oh man, that's terrible. And there's somebody else. Yep. Please no. Yep. I'm just gonna chuck it. I'm gonna throw it out your window. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's actually a stunt man. I think you can tell by the legs. I think, but yeah. Um, what can I say? Just great. I wouldn't. So yeah. All right. So I think we're slowly we're getting closer and closer here to the climax of the film. So here we are, the last 20 minutes of the movie. Here we're getting towards the ending of the movie, and this is when it really starts to kick into full gear here. Because but first of all, there's Kane. You gotta love that walk of his for that really wide shot. Now they would actually use a shot similar, I think, in the ninth film, I believe. Um, but of course now they're wasting time. You got Tina's mom and Dr. Cruz out there looking for her. I love it. He thinks he hears something. So, but yeah, one thing though that you do notice right there is that with the character Jason, of course, usually, whenever he's on screen, you always hear the thing like you're hearing now, but also you hear like this dark, like brooding, like breath sound that like this type of sound, and of course, I think that's like a garden tool of some sort. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but of course, you know, everybody's waiting for Dr. Cruz to get taken out because he's like one of the characters that you can't wait to be taken out, and boom, gotta love it. A little bit of blood on his face freaks him out a little bit, but you gotta love how Nick kind of, when he mentions Melissa's name, how it's kind of somewhat hesitant a little bit. It's like, do I really have to call out your name? And unfortunately, but I have to. Um, but of course, you can tell that he found somebody else dead. So yeah, Nick realizes something's definitely weird is going on. So he's got to get back to Tina, obviously. What can we say? He's the final guy, and she's the final girl. And whatnot. But it's like I said, it's just sad that we'll never get to see these characters ever again in other stories. Um, but yeah, um, so yeah. Uh-oh, Tina's not there. But yeah, you gotta love Harry's score right there. Of course, it's definitely a lot of it is I think from the other movies actually. It's just kind of a lot of his score has been reused, which is really sad. Yeah, yeah. Of course, Melissa's like, yeah, whatever. It's like, I don't believe you. You're nuts. You're crazy. And, well, somebody's definitely going to have fun with you here in a little bit. Probably one of the best kills in the entire franchise, I think, in my opinion. Um, but, of course, Tina doesn't say, she's out in the woods trying to find her mom. And, uh, there's Dr. Cruz there. You gotta love how he's very hesitant, as in yeah, she is. Yeah, he is. He's definitely lying because you can definitely tell. Blood? What's on your face? Blood? What'd you do? yeah, yeah, that's not mine. And of course, look at him. He's asking her to help, and she's like, "No, I want my mom. Where is she at? I don't know." And of course, now he finally tells her the truth that she's gone. But of course, she doesn't believe her. Of course, Cruz is now finally realizing, "Hey, don't go in there. I'm scared out of my mind." But you know, because now he doesn't really know what to do, except he has to try to get out of there. But in my opinion, we get one of the best kills and the best weapons ever in this entire franchise. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, open up that weed whacker. Yeah, a weed whacker with a saw blade on it. Oh man, that's like one of the best weapons ever in the entire franchise. You gotta wonder how much if Kane loved shooting this sequence. I mean, especially with that. I mean, it's so original too. It's like you gotta wonder how they managed to figure that out. You wonder if that was supposed to be like a 3D shot of some sort, just the way he's holding it and stuff. But you know, you gotta love that. That's like one of the best things ever in this entire film. Just him walking around with a weed whacker, and yet he turned it off. Oh man, come on, put it on him. Yeah, there you go. Sadly, this death is really cut down big time. Oh, they all are, which is really bad. But oh, I mean, that's just that definitely lasted a lot longer than not really showing anything. But I'm sure with today's visual effects, that probably would be splurting out everywhere. A lot like in the like the 2013 Evil Dead movie, a lot like that. So yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Now we're basically down to Melissa and uh, Tina and Nick, basically. Of course, it's like you wonder if Jason kind of lured her that way a little bit. Um, but yeah, yeah, completely forgot about oh yeah, the eye party. Now she's realizing that everybody else is gone. But yeah, great. She's like, oh yeah, that guy. So this scene here now, I think this is actually one of the first times that I actually, uh, I think this was actually like one of the first times I remember seeing this movie, because I always thought for some reason that that Jason was somebody that she knew, because like I said, the first time I ever saw this movie was on TV at some point way back in the '90s when they had like those AMC horror fests or whatever. But yeah, I could definitely tell some of the effects were a little bit dated, but of course, we're pulling a lot of stuff from Carrie and whatnot. But you know, you gotta love it. Gotta absolutely love it. Definitely. Now, a lot of the shots that you're looking at here, you can definitely tell. A lot of it is footage that was played backwards, whereas they would pull the stuff. Like for example, they would pull the power cable away. They just reverse the shot to make it look like it's going forward. Of course, definitely getting shocked in the water there and whatnot. But what can I say? Definitely long, long, creepy shot here of him just kind of laying there in the water and whatnot. That just a random puddle and whatnot. But you're just waiting and waiting. Gotta wonder how long Kane was holding his breath for this shot. Boom! Time to get up. Time to chase after the girl. Yep. Such a great shot. Of course, you gotta love that you can actually see the kneecaps and stuff there too. Uh, so, you know, what can I say? It's just a great sequence. So, as I mentioned before, that window that Jason was looking at, right? That big window right there. Well, boom, jumps right through it. Now, with that shot there, Kane almost actually hit his head in real life. And if you notice right there in the way the lighting is set up, when it has this, I think it's actually in that shot there. There's one of the two of the shots. Yeah, that shot right there. You can tell that where you can definitely tell where Kane's real eye is. And he's just kind of eyeballing her and stuff and whatnot. But of course, one of the things that he would do later on is he would do this eye squint in Jason 10, which was really creepy. But of course, he's like, seriously? You're putting a table in front of my way here? I'm kind of getting pissed at you. But now, of course, hey, have a couch. Bonk. Yeah, man, such a great scream. But here, headbutt, bonk. Such a great little head gag there. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, Kane apparently he was a trooper throughout this entire movie. Now that reaction, that is a real reaction, because they knew that he was going to do that they were going to do something, but that is a real thing that they knocked down on Kane. And when you see the way Kane reacts with his arms kind of going up like that, it threw him off for a second and whatnot, because there's actually behind the scenes footage of Kane actually talking about that and how had he had not stepped like if he had stepped like 2 feet back, he would have gotten seriously injured with the part of that inner ceiling coming down on him. And I wonder if that shot ended up. I wonder if somebody on Ninja Turtles actually was a Friday the 13th fan, because they used a very similar shot like that in that movie with the hand coming up and just kind of doing that. But of course, there's Melissa. Of course, yeah, gotta pick up an axe. and whatnot. And of course, somebody's going to get the axe, and everybody's waiting for this kill to happen. Everybody's absolutely waiting, and when it happens, big, huge cheer. Yeah. Hello. Who are you? Well, you're in my way. So, BAM! Yeah. And I'm just going to chuck. Oh, yeah. So now, you got to love. Now, we're towards the final sequence of this. So, you kind of tell they made Jason a little bit smart there, see? By him actually shutting the door. Which is kind of interesting because he, usually have him, doing this type of stuff, which is kind of cool. So yeah, this shot always that's coming up here always creeped me out when I was a lot younger. Him coming up on the stairs and whatnot very slowly and whatnot, but yeah, definitely creepy. Very slow moving shots, and how about a headlamp to the head? And like I said, so most of this is actually from Carrie. Ow! Oof, that's gotta hurt. Now with that shot there, Kane actually almost hit his head on the steps because if you notice, there's actual real that's real wood. He actually fell through balsa wood there. But I mean, what can I say? You just don't want to. Just don't go over the steps. Just don't do it. And so yeah, and nope, I'm still up. Yep, scream, get rid of the guy real quick. Take him out first, and oh boy. Okay, yeah. So here we come up on the shot that probably creeped me out the absolute most in this entire movie. Not that one. But as I mentioned before, with the masks being split in half, here's your foreshadow. Oh, zombie Jason. That shot right there. That shot right there, what Kane does with his mouth, like that, just this gasp or whatever that he does, like this type of thing, like really. So, yeah, I mean, what can I say? That shot, I don't know why that shot always creeped me out ever since I saw this movie as a kid, and I don't know why. There's just I think that's like one of the scariest things in the entire movie, and whatnot. But of course, with with Nick, of course, being knocked out there in the corner, so he's just laying there and whatnot. And of course, we got to so see Jason, of course, down there in the basement, which we'll be getting to here in just a few seconds here. But she's got a. This shot here always also creeped me out too. I mean, it's just that long, slow zoom, and somebody's up, and he's like, "Yep, I'm awake. That hurt, so I'm gonna pull you down here and really take care of you here." And of course, you can tell that with him, with that, just the way he throws it down on the ground, it's like seriously, it's like really now you've really done something to you. So here. Have some nails and whatnot, but such a he's like, but you gotta love the way the makeup is and whatnot. So I mean, sadly, this would be the only time that you never see the character, basically, looking like this because obviously with the next film they would basically be they would change his design yet again. But thankfully, Kane came back to portray the character in that film as well as two others. So basically, 4 films and whatnot. But yeah, of course, you'll be hearing that theme quite a bit here in the last several minutes of the movie. Now, this fire gag that's going on here, this was all done for real. This is all this is a real. Kane actually did this and whatnot, but. Yeah, you can kind of tell that, the look at his face is like, really? I'm going to get you here just a minute. Hey, wait a minute. So, that is a real fire gag, done for real. And apparently Kane was on fire for about 45 seconds, which is a really long time to be set on fire for that length amount of time. But apparently at the time, that was actually a record at the time. And So of course, you could tell that the flames are going out there towards the end as he when he comes laying down on the ground there, because you could tell that they were getting ready to take him out because of that the angle of that shot. But you know, but so yeah, we gotta run out of the house, and this sounds like one of the best explosions I think out of an entire horror film. Yeah, hit the deck. Boom! Look at that. That's a big explosion there. I think that's actually probably about as big of an explosion. I think as kind of similar to uh, the uh, the gas tanks in Freddy versus Jason. But yeah, they shot that whole thing in one take because that's the every single cut that you saw of that explosion. That was it. That was the whole. Uh, that was all the footage that they managed to get out of that. So, but yeah, I mean, you just gotta love her acting right here. Whatnot. But so, yep. So is everything resolved yet? Yeah, it looks like it, right? Yeah, I think nope. One last little showdown, and yep. So of course somebody's still out, but now it's. I mean, if you look at the makeup, it looks like you can definitely tell a lot of his outfit is blackened and whatnot. But I don't know why. Just the certain the way uh, Kane is lit up here with the makeup and everything. He kind of reminds me of the character of Spawn. Uh, you know, with all the makeup that Michael Jai White would go through with that movie. Roughly about a decade later after this came out. Um, but so yeah. So basically, we're getting down towards the end of the film here. Tina's basically using her powers and she doesn't know what she's doing. And who returns? Well, somebody that was supposed to be looking a lot more grotesque, and the MPAA is like, nope. And that's how apparently Jason gets taken out. Gets pulled back down to the water. And we're going to pass out again. So, now, the guy picking up the mask here, that is John Carl Buechler. That's the director of the movie, making a small cameo there. Um, so yeah, you gotta wonder how many times that these guys have been out here to this, to the lake and whatnot, and saying, all right, how many more times do we need to be out here? Um, so, yep. So, yep. Such a great movie. I mean, although it's sad that it ends kind of abruptly, which is kind of sad. I mean, they could have done it a little bit better, but then again, they didn't really have that much of a budget, basically. But they did with what they had. Of course, now they're trying to figure out, hey, where's Jason at? And of course, Tina gets the great. Gets one of the last. Gets literally the last line of the movie is that we took care of him, but there's this little tease coming up right there. So, all right, and that is it. We have completed Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Yeah, such a great. I mean, it's sure nowadays it's one of the more fan favorites out of all of them. Obviously with Kane, but I don't know. To me, I think it's actually one of the more middle ones, and I think that isn't. It's a little slow in certain parts, but you can definitely tell it was really messed with and whatnot. But of course, with the in credits music here, of course, you can tell that's more of a Fred Mullins score, and very kind of similar to what the opening credits was. Um, but yeah, so what can I say? Overall, it's still not a bad movie. It's good for what it is, but yeah. Sadly, though, like I said, like I mentioned, this is basically doing this commentary for late Lar Park Lincoln, who of course played a great performance as Tina here in the movie. Sadly, we'll never get to see what her story was because she had mentioned, like in an interview at one point, that she wanted to bring Tina back as a psychiatrist, and she and Jason would have another throwdown. Um, Although it would have been interesting if they now technically the character did continue on in the I think it's the Freddy versus Jason versus Ash comics, Sally, which I am not right, but I know she is mentioned in that book in that comic series. Um, but yeah, it just would have been interesting had they also brought back the character of Nick. Now it would have been really cool if they had brought back like all the survivors for like one final film. Basically everybody that has survived and whatnot, and to and like if they were going to do one final Friday the 13th with with Kane, here's what we would. This is kind of what it would be kind of cool to do all this and that. So, yeah. So overall, not bad at all. Not bad. Obviously, this movie would do pretty decent. So ended up making Kane play the character, three more times, as being the more popular one out of the who basically played Jason the most out of everybody. Um, so yeah, so all right, so you guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed the latest commentary. Please don't forget to check out the Patreon page for a few more other commentaries. There's definitely a lot more going on down the road, and definitely a lot more Friday the 13th commentaries to look forward to. So with that, you guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification button, check out the Patreon page, and with that, I will see you guys later. See ya.